The city council voted 3-2 to apply the police positions without an actual consultant. So that will be various means that we conducted in the past. So that we'll be reporting that particular section. That's the only thing that I have at this point.
Mayor.
And yes, the vote was 3-2 with having Councilmember Cruz Baca and Councilmember Rubio dissenting on the vote. Yes.
I'd like to explain to, yes, we are late and we apologize, but I also want to explain to the people how the vote was 3-2. We were standing up getting ready to come down here when the decision was made to go ahead and not hire a consultant for the chief position and to fly it like it's been flown before. It wasn't so much the $25,000 that we were going to spend, but I felt that we needed to look at the salary as well, because that is really something that we need to look at. We have questioned the salary of the previous chief, and that was extremely important to myself, and I'm hoping that it was also the same thing for Councilmember Rubio. And we really thought that we should give it some consideration and bring it to the next meeting. Salaries are extremely important in expenditures as far as I'm concerned, because it's the taxpayers' money, not our money. And we were outvoted for that, and that's why we're late.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Susan Rubio.
I think that's incorrect. I did not vote for it. On the way out, as I got my purse, they were decided to vote on something, and I told the mayor for the record, I will not vote on something that's so important on the way out. So I told them I was going to excuse myself. Previous council meetings, we've been accused of voting for something because we walk out and they vote for something that we don't know. So for the record, I didn't vote. I walked out.
Right. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and we have a call. So,
Mayor, just for some clarification, really quickly, the vote was held in closed session. Everybody was aware of what the vote was, and also want to say we also voted that it depends on qualifications, so that's why we did not discuss the salary portion of it. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor,
Yes.
but there is this illusion that we had a discussion. There was no discussion. I grabbed my purse, the meeting was over, we were running late, and as we're walking out, they decided to vote on an item, and I said, absolutely not. I will not vote on something on the way out. In order to take these important votes, we need to be sitting down with documentation and with a full discussion. This was not a discussion. We were on our way out. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. All right, at this point, yes, Councilmember, Vice Mayor Monica Garcia.
Thank you. I mean, I think that the question was, do we want to spend $25,000 on a consultant to find our next chief of police? And the majority vote was that we do not want to do that. We'll go with what we've done historically, which is posting the position through your typical, usual channels, and then getting the response, because $25,000 is a hefty bill for our residents to put when we've been able to obtain, quality candidates.
I'd like to thank West Coast Arborist and our staff for the trees that we planted this couple weekends ago. There were 17 trees from what I understand, and at the Morgan Park, and I believe they took another 20 to Barnes. And altogether, we had a grant for 105 trees. It was a wonderful event. However, I did have a concern. As I was approaching so that I could make the announcement, I saw Captain David Salcedo from the Inglewood Police Department talking to a group of students. And he was introducing himself as the new chief. And that concerned me. Once he saw me in the background, he changed and was explaining to them that it was going to be a process, that he wasn't the chief yet, but he was hoping he would be the chief, and he asked for my vote as well while I was standing out there behind the students. That concerns me, and tonight's vote even concerns me more, because it seems that the $25,000, in order to make it a fair process, like we had said, a vetted process, that the three, Councilmember Pacheco, Vice Mayor Garcia, and you, Mayor, Mr. Salcedo made it very clear that he already knew who was going to vote for him. Obviously, it was not me, because he was asking me for my vote. So I feel that either he should decline and pull himself out of the race as chief in all fairness. Otherwise, this is bordering in being illegal, because it's obvious that the three of you discussed this, And it's not only in violation of the Brown Act, but this is in violation of the illegal process. And I do not want to be a part of it. I want to be sure that we have a vetted process, and that was exactly why we had said to spend the $25,000. Yes, it is $25,000, but now we don't have to spend it, so the taxpayers don't have to worry about it because the decision was already made behind closed doors. I'm very concerned. I want this matter looked into, City Attorney, because Mr. Salcedo should not be representing himself as the chief. I know that none of us could be out there representing ourselves as something we're not, because after all, that's illegal. And he did say that he was going to be the new chief. He has been at several occasions, which, hey, he can come as long as he wants. Ballpark is a family-oriented. But when he comes around and he comes to different events and he's introducing himself as already pretty close to having one foot in that chief's office, I'm concerned, and I want this looked into.
Yeah, you know, first of all, I'm going to question your integrity because you are currently going through court, one, for forgery. Second, also laundering big money. And you know what I'm talking about, and you still have not shared that with the city council. When my brother has been arrested 3 times by the Ballpark Police Department, the first thing I do, I share it here with everyone. Come from a family of 7, made it clear when I first got elected that if there's any immediate problems with my family, because I can't control it, I will share it, and I've always done that. Now, I'm going to question you on that. Now, he, along with 3 others, are currently touring Baldwin Park, and that I know for a fact. Now, it's interesting for you to say that. Let me remind you, when you got elected, you came in here. You came in here, you fired the first Latina chief ever, a very popular individual in this town. You had no information whatsoever. I personally think you violated the Brown Act because you came in and you had your votes, you fired her. You fired the city manager at the same time. So please, don't play tricks on me. Your little cameras are on, and you are the #1 propaganda person. I will be at your court case because I think it's important. If you don't share that information with the general public, I will. And I'm going to invite the general public to be there. You committed forgery. You signed your sister's name on a 460 form. That is illegal. It is illegal, and the district attorney's office needs to know about that. Or let me just say, it's been reported to the district attorney's office by your sister. Now, again, I question you because I personally think you are an expert at coming in here and fabricating information. So please, don't. You know what you're saying right now? I will tell you outright. You are really being an unfair individual because you're setting the individual up for your little stories here. You're a dishonest individual.
Mayor, may I speak, please?
Yes, absolutely.
This really saddens me because
Yes, sure does.
when Ms. Cruz Baca started speaking, she started speaking about issues that pertain to the city. Issues that affect the residents, issues that affect taxpayer monies. And when you go from speaking about city issues to talking about a personal lawsuit she has going on with her family, I think that really crosses the line. Let me just clarify. You know, unfortunately, Cruz's mother passed away a few years back, and as in many families, the mom left a lot of money behind. And so what happens is there's usually disagreements between brothers and sisters. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that, and that is an issue that they're dealing with privately in a court system, as they should, but that has no place in city governance. The chief of police does pertain to city business, and I think that is unfortunate that you're bringing her lawsuit with her siblings into this matter. That is inappropriate. They're 2 different things, and just because the sister makes allegations doesn't make it so. They're going through court, and once that court is settled, then we can come with the facts. But you cannot go based on allegations because they want her to sell property to get money. As you all know, we all have siblings, and money sometimes causes these, fractions between family members. Once again, Mayor, that is a personal, private matter. The chief of police has to do with city business. I think that was inappropriate.
Okay. Real quick, Councilmember, and I'm glad you brought that up because you made me remember something. And I'm asking the city attorney right now, we have to bring the district attorney's office to write this down. She has an illegal conversion in her home where she has people living in the back. She did indicate to an individual that the city would not do anything to her because the law enforcement was her friends. And I believe that's currently going on or was brought to the city and needs to be investigated. She is not above the law under any circumstances. And as mayor, I'm not going to sit here and allow any individual to do this when we literally have hundreds of residents that have been cited and have to comply with the law. She is not above the ordinance of the city of Baldwin Park. And I want a full report to all the council members since she is not sharing any of this information publicly.
Once again, Mayor, this goes back to the private lawsuit the family has going on. The reason they can't touch the properties right now, they're going through probate. Once again, when someone is deceased and something's left behind, sometimes it takes a little while to sort these things out, and that is going through probate. That is why things need to be settled in court before anything can be touched. That continues to be a private matter. And I believe there is documentation that show that they are going through court. In fact, you just mentioned it right now. They need to settle this before anything can be done to properties left by their family members. And so, again, it continues to be a personal matter. Thank you, Mayor.
Unfortunately, we are public officials, and as public officials, we are to report out anything that that obviously involves us as regardless of what privacy she may have out. I reported my brother, and I didn't have to. And I reported based on the fact that for me, it's ethical to come up here and to state it, to place it on the record so that no one questions that.
Mayor, I did mention the lawsuit about 2-3 council meetings ago. I did mention, if we want to check the minutes, I did say, because you had brought up personal allegations against me, and I did bring up about the lawsuit. The lawsuit is not a secret. Code enforcement visited me twice today. Twice today. This morning and at 5 o'clock. They were on the property talking to my brother, who my brother has said that you told him that he would not be cited because you thought it was okay. Now, I'm not going to continue. If anybody would like to discuss my lawsuit with my family, I am available anytime. However, I feel that this is a ploy so that you can forget what I said about Captain Salcedo being at the tree planting, posing as the new police chief. This is just a ploy to confuse you. Do not forget that. If anybody wants to talk about my personal life, hey, I got nothing to hide. I'll show you all the documents, and you're welcome to speak to my siblings as well. Not a secret. Come to the court hearing. Keep us company while you're there, along with Council Mayor Lozano, and like it's been said by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia in the past, and I would really like to move forward with the agenda. However, I do want to point that at that time, your third vote now, Councilmember Pacheco, was voting to bring in. And we are, unfortunately, we are not allowed behind, because it's closed session, to really announce why the decisions were made the way they were made. And that's very unfortunate, because I think that the residents and our constituents need and should see that. We owe that to them, to be able to see the reasons why we make the decisions that we do. And it's really funny how the vote has changed now, so I'm the enemy all of a sudden, and I'm being attacked because of personal reasons, when this has nothing to do with what I said about Captain Salcedo. Nothing at all. And again, I will repeat that you're only doing it because you're trying to get us off the track as to what the real issue was here on the day of the tree planting. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Hi, good evening, Danny Damian. Mayor, at the last council meeting, out of respect and professionalism, you should have allowed Margaret Clark and other candidates to address the council and let you all know why they should represent the San Gabriel Valley Water Quality Authority Board. But instead, it was obvious that you, along with Ricardo Pacheco and Monica Garcia, had already decided that you were going to vote for Valerie Munoz. Instead, you said, and I quote, "Maggie Clark has been there for many years, and I think it's an opportunity for us to select someone of a different generation that can represent the particular changes in demographics of the San Gabriel Valley." I will admit, Mayor, I do agree with you on this one. I do agree with you on this one thing, and that is that it's time for us to select a new generation to represent us, as opposed to someone who has been there for many years, like yourself, and has had the chance. I must say that 22 years as the mayor is way too long. It's time that we select a new mayor with a new vision and fresh ideas to move Motor Park forward, not to mention transparency. And you know, Mayor, I believe that deep down inside of you, you may still have some hope, but unfortunately you've allowed the greed and the 22 years of the same to get the best of you. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for Council Members Ricardo Pacheco and Monica Garcia. Because in my opinion, they are just plain evil, vindictive, and they have no hope. And you know, Councilmember Monica Garcia, you're talking about spending $25,000 on a consultant to hire a very important position for the city. You know the violence that there is when it comes to the police department and our community residents. I hope you do, since you're an elected council member. And for you to play around with the idea that now you actually do care about spending $25,000 of our taxpayer money, who are you kidding, Monica? You know the reason why you're doing it. If you guys can give away hundreds of thousands of dollars of our taxpayer money to corporations such as AAE, Gentry Brothers, etc., then you guys can pay $25,000 so that it's transparent as to who's going to get the next position as the chief of police. So if you guys are trying to fool us, you're not. We know exactly what it is that you guys are doing. Don't try to pretend that now you care about the taxpayer money, when in reality, you don't give a crap about any of us here or any of the residents of this city. So $25,000 to spend on selecting the new chief, I think that the residents, us the taxpayers, I think we'd agree.
Good evening, Greg Tuttle, business owner. Tonight, up in the special meeting, I had served Lozano, Pacheco, and Garcia with a lawsuit for actions that they did to me in Santa Barbara conference. Mr. Lozano seems to forget, I know that he says that he always tells everybody when his brothers do evil things and drugs-related things, but I came to one council meeting and had a police report in my hand about his brother being arrested for smoking crack over in Irwindale. He adamantly denied it, everything else. The truck that the kid, his brother was smoking crack in was his own truck, which was disassembled by the Irwindale PD over in Glendora. So there's things you don't say to the people. Then, Monica, this is really good. You don't want to spend $25,000, but you pissed away $52,000 for a restraining order to try to get me to shut up. All three of you, Pacheco, Lozano, and you. And you know what the judge told you? You're not normal. And I have that on a document. You're not a normal person. And all the times that you go to the emergency rooms on drug-related stuff, I think you guys ought to be drug tested, because you guys got some serious issues, especially you. Now, let's talk about the chief process. Well, I was there when we did the Hatzel process. What a joke. 3 or 4 guys came in. I talked to the people outside while they were waiting to get interviewed. They said, thank God we didn't get picked. And then when you did pick, it was a lieutenant, not even a captain. You picked because she was going to be your great puppet of the year. She got you in major lawsuits with the police department on promotions because she followed Marlene Garcia's stuff. And then when Captain Taylor was out on vacation, that's when you promoted her to chief. So you waited till Captain Taylor was out of the country before you even promoted her. We know what you're going to do. We know this guy's going around to all the events saying I'm the next police chief. And we got a lot of dirt on him. And a lot of the residents are going to hear about it. Through wherever we got to do it, the media, whatever, we're going to put it out there. So welcome to the big leagues, guys. Then Pacheco signs over in, I have your employment thing over here from South El Monte, Pacheco. We got some big discrepancies here. You said you don't work. And you're sitting here saying you made $10,000 a year. But your 700 form shows you only work for American Solar, but that was only for 1 year. The rest of the years your wife made the money, not you. You got some issues with the FPPC because they got filed all these papers. You got to explain them to them, big boy.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate that. All right, moving along with public communication.
Now, Mayor, at the last meeting, you stated that you were in favor of Ed Hernandez's daughter for this water position, and that the other lady who had been in for 15 years was out of ideas, and we needed new people with new ideas. How long have you been in office, Mayor? Isn't that kind of calling the pot calling the kettle black? Also, I don't know if you heard, maybe you have, but there's a guy going around says he's under police chief. Is this a ship house rumor or not? Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members from Baldwin Park, residents. My name is Gabriel Ramirez, resident of El Monte. I'm going to speak on behalf of the selection of the chief. This is what I wrote, and I believe I sent an email to each and every one of the council members, and I have not been responded. And here this goes, and I have attached the articles. I come from a city of Almani where last year we had a police chief that we were going to be selecting. I'm going to read this right now, very, very short and clear, or maybe longer, but here it is. In February of the 25th of 2015, the city of El Monte, the mayor, selected a new police chief. He was going to appoint a police chief from San Bernardino Police Department, who was also former city council member for the city of Hemet, which his name is McBride. And it's something that the mayor at that time, what he did was of his own selection. And I'm not here to cause any, throw any dirt, but making this a process the right way. And we actually did a consultant that we spent $30,000 according that they made a right selection. Accordingly, it's not. The reason that he was not, that he withdrew because he was in favor of an immigration of Arizona, as y'all know, SB. So what I suggest, make it a fair process. If it's listen to the council members, listen to the residents. Even though you may not like it, some residents can bring something that, hey, you know what? They do research. I do my research, I do my homework when it comes to new police chief. Obviously, we have, I'm sorry to say that, but you took your police chief, your police captain, David Reynoso, to El Monte. So, but like I said, you make this the right process. It's not political or anything that may assume or maybe rub it to the wrong way. So that's all I have to say on this public comment. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, how many times do people have to tell you, you have this piece of paper, I'm pretty sure you got something pretty similar to it. You don't even know how to follow directions. It says here, roll call, innovation, pledge allegiance, roll call, report, a closed session. What do? Before the meeting, even an official meeting, you start chatting about what you guys did upstairs. Don't you follow anything right? Or do you don't give a hoot? I know, stare me down, you'll never do that, Mayor. This police chief you guys are looking for, I should say you three, you should put that out for bid. That way we can get the best guy so you guys can fire him. How you like that one, huh? The gentleman over here that's hanging on to the job for a little bit, you need to tell your police officer, especially that one, that when somebody wants to hand something to the ladies over here, there's no crime or unconstitutional or any police thing that says we can't hand them people paperwork. You need to talk to him. That's our freedom of expression. We can hand it to any time. Doesn't matter who's talking. If the good Lord was talking, I guarantee you somebody would interrupt him. Now back to you, Mayor. This police chief you people are looking for, I hope, I know I'm wishing awful hard, that there's some guy out there that wants to be a police chief, not maybe for Baldwin Park only, but for any city that's open, so he can come and sue you people. Because you know, the way it looks to me, you're not going to even look. You already got somebody in line. So I'm telling the lawyer now, if the mayor doesn't follow directions or city council approved minutes, I'm going to have to talk to somebody further up that has more authority than he does. Last meeting, you blew us off in the financial part and the housing department. You have on these minutes here, that you guys are gonna get $30 and $50. There's nowhere on here that says you guys had those times. So why are you being paid? It's unconstitutional to get paid for doing nothing. I know, stare me down, Mayor, you're right. You should be fired for this. You know why? Because you don't care about procedure. You just do whatever in the hell you want to do. Hold on. Thank you.
All right, moving on with public communication.
Thomas Gary, former resident. It's been a while. In my absence, last couple months, Mr. Pacheco is working in South El Monte for people that have business with the city. Rather than attack Cruz Baca over there, you should be addressing him, moonlighting over there with people that have city business here. I can't think of much more of a conflict of interest than that. As for Cruz Baca and her family issues, it seems that when you were elected, you got some campaign contributions from her family, which I found to be, that shouldn't be. It's causing a rift there. They already have enough problems. As for the chief of police, why aren't you just hiring within the ranks? Isn't that the way it should normally be done? After all, the officers that have been here a long time already know where the problem areas are here in Baldwin Park. Why are you going to bring in somebody from, where is it, Inglewood? What does he know about Baldwin Park? Unless, of course, he's going to be your puppet so that you can manipulate and control him, because after all, if you hire him, you got him over a barrel and you can fire him just as readily. Because we know the majority is almost always Monica, Mayor Lozano, and Pacheco. That's not a democracy when you vote the same way. Either you want it or you don't, but you always vote the same way. And if they disagree, you're all over them like a wet blanket. Democracy, you're all supposed to work together for the betterment of these people. I don't live here. As for the consultants, didn't you three vote to raise it from $10,000 to over $100,000? What are you putting about $25,000 for? You spend money like it's going out of style for consultants for every damn thing else, but they want $25,000? Rather than give the land away like you did to Rome over here, why don't you build that park over in that parking right by that big red building? That parking lot's practically useless. Why don't you put the damn park there? You're probably figuring out, what land can we take from some business owner? How can we twist this system? This system here is as corrupt as anything. And I know, if he's saying I'm the chief of police of Baldwin Park, it's more than likely he's going to be the one that's here. And I'm just waiting to see when that's going to happen. You're not going to admit that you've talked about it, but why could he be going around saying I'm the chief of police of Baldwin Park if he didn't already have some inside information on that? Something's wrong somewhere, and the truth has a way of coming out.
President, in the past 10 years, how many chief of police have we had? 4? 3? We haven't had a chief of police retired from Baldwin Park. Why? Because he's not a puppet. Once you start putting a puppet up there, and if he doesn't follow your instructions, you kick him out. What happened to Lily? Mr. Pacheco didn't like her. Let's kick her out. What happened to Mr. Taylor? He was a good chief. He had been here, what, 35 years? Just because he didn't want to follow your little instruction, you said, well, let's get rid of him. Let's bring my buddy. that's one of the things that the residents of Ball Park, when you mentioned that they were going to go through the process of electing a chief of police, they were happy about it. But now that this came out, that you three are going to decide, they're not going to be happy about it. I don't even think by tomorrow and by Saturday, you won't hardly have anybody in the parade out there because they're going to be pissed off. Okay? One of the things you have to understand, we're the ones that are paying you. You have to listen to us. Not to Susan that you wanted to find out where that money went into. And right away, the three of you said, no, we don't want that. You can spend $25,000, but you can spend $125,000 on a consultant from Chip Masabi or somebody else. You guys are so crooked. I thought Mexico was bad, but you guys are really bad. It's getting to the point, only got 15 minutes. It's getting to the point that it's a big joke. It's like the sign those people brought over here. Thank you, Mr. M. What this mayor does. Oh, let's take a picture.